Okay, guys, we're going to start teaching you Apple Motion. It's a special effects and motion graphics program that's a lot of fun. I'm going to go ahead and go into a current project real fast, and then we'll go into a new project. But basically what you're going to end up doing with this program, it has pre-built animation sequences for you when it comes to text, and also your skill set of using keyframing, the ability to make things change size, shape, position over time is really the essential tool for this program. You probably have used keyframing in Final Cut Pro, maybe even Photoshop. This one has the advantage of a recording light that lets you, one button, move multiple layers at the same time or figure out your plan on multiple things. So that one button really allows us to make multiple things have different positions and angles, colors, etc., filters, all kinds of things can change over time. But the same kind of strategy. Basically, have one edit point in time, turn on the recording light, move down the point in time, change it to whatever you want it to be. If you notice these little keyframes here, that's where we've made a change, probably of size or position. But that's kind of the idea. But it's great for doing all kinds of fun stuff. You're primarily going to use it for titles and text, for commercials, for introduction type things. But there's unlimited potentials for movie sequences, movie trailers, all kinds of good fun stuff. So what we'll do is I want to run you through the basics of this program. We're going to go through really just a couple quick things. I guess to start off with, let's go back to File New and start from the very beginning so you don't see anything. But when you go into File New, the Motion product is probably your best choice to start from. You can use these other ones if you wanted to, but that one's probably the most transferable to Final Cut. And if you want to crank it out as a standalone movie, it works that way too. But I'm going to go ahead and open this one up. When you get in there, it might be a good idea to check out the preferences for this file. In fact, let me go to Motion Preferences and show you a couple quick things about what happens. Let's see the project size. So the project duration right now is set for 20 seconds. So these are designed to make short little sequences, not entire movie products, but custom little scenes and sections of a movie or a video clip. The other thing is I was going to check and see the overall size of the project. See if we can find that one real fast. If not, we'll come back to that one. Preset. Okay, yeah, here's our presets for film and video. We're probably going to do, the broadcast high def is what we've been focusing on, that 1920 by 1080. So that's probably the best choice if you can get into that one. I'm going to make that my default setting too, by the way. Okay. So anyway, when you go to File New, you're going to probably pick a motion project. When you get there, you're going to get a blank timeline like I have here. So let me stretch that out and show you a couple things. First things first, I would probably suggest go to the library and then see what you have in this library. There's all kinds of different tools and things you can use. I'm going to walk through some of these things. As we go through it and test drive it, we should be able to pick one of the categories, pick one of the samples, and you should get a preview of what you're about to get. And this kind of sequence can be applied to text, a still photo, or a video clip. And so there's all kinds of fun things you can to do with this one. But I would probably suggest just kind of go through each of these categories, figure out what they basically can do. And some of them are going to make sense and some are not. But just try to figure out a little bit about what these things can do. I think once you start to move into these other categories, it'll make a little bit better sense. I'm going to go into this filter one. And this one you may use, but it's more like the Instagram special effect type stuff. Most of you guys are pretty familiar with Photoshop filters. This is basically Photoshop filters for video clips. And as you go through it, you can kind of see if you wanted your video to have that kind of look or that little flair to it, you would just apply that idea. So pretty much, it works pretty much like you've done other projects before. You'll import most of your resources. We're going to make a few things from scratch, but if you wanted to import video clips or pictures, you would import them, put them into your timeline, and then you can start to apply filters and other things to it. But for now, let's just go ahead and cruise through as many as we can and check these out. But I want to keep it under 15 minutes for this introduction. But those are kind of would be applied to video clips or photos. Generators are all kinds of fun stuff. They do all kinds of weird backgrounds and other things that might just have some animated sequence. And the one thing you'll be able to do, in fact, let's go ahead and throw one of these in here. Let me find one I might be able to mess with easier than others. One that has a little motion to it. All right, that memory one might be good. I'm going to go ahead and apply that one and see what I get. So when I applied it, it didn't have to have a layer. It just kind of made that visual effect right there on the screen. One of the things you're going to get to right away when you want to mess with this program is there is the ability to change a lot of features about what you do in this program. Let me go ahead and start with what you guys already know how to do to a certain degree, which is keyframing. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see the handles of this project. And if I was going to make this particular background move or change the shape over time, same kind of idea. I can go down the timeline. Actually, I should hit the record light first. So I turn on my record light, move down the timeline, and then really whatever you want to try. That video clip, that little sequence can be, you can make it smaller, bigger, change position, rotation. I'll just do a couple of those ideas so you can kind of get the gist of it. But between point A and point B, I've made those changes. So again, that could be video clips of athletes and news story footage. It could be text. It could be still pictures. All kinds of things. But your ability to make that move over time is kind of the biggest, most important concept. I wanted to kind of also show you when you get into messing around with motion on each of your clips, you should be able to get into this inspector, which will probably lead you through how this thing was made. There's a lot of math and algorithms and other things that we may not be able to figure out that make this video effect like that. But as you drive through this inspector, there's probably some things you could figure out. So like on this one, we can kind of see there's a white color picker. My best guess is if I change that to a different color, I'm probably going to get that different color scheme to it. So it's worth just kind of going to the inspector and seeing what you can edit and modify. And that's a part where I think there's all kinds of things to uncover. Let's go back to the library, and we're going to hustle through a couple more because again I got to keep this fairly short, under 15 minutes. But main thing so far, the library is where all your goodies are. Inspectors, how you're going to change things. Sometimes that's referred to as a property window a lot of times. But let's keep cruising a little bit longer, and then I think you'll have enough information to start off on whatever type project you're going to work on. But particle emitters are super fun. They have all these different categories that do some kind of visual effect. So if you notice in this corner, I'm getting these blue foamy bubbles. If I wanted green bubbles or other colors, I'm sure I could change that around. One thing that is helpful as you start to kind of combine different layers together, this thing does allow you to click into your timeline and make a new group. And that way you can stack a few things kind of in one combination. So that is one thing that I'm still kind of learning and working out how to do. But if you want to make a new group, then if your next idea is in that group, it'll be a little bit easier to mess with. So let me add these falling leaves or something like this one, just to kind of experiment. But again, I could probably just apply that. It looks like it did add it to, yeah, kind of a combination it looks like here. Let me try that one more time. Redo, drop. Okay. Yeah, I think we got the basic idea. But if you notice, those leaves that are following already have an animated sequence, but I can, if I wanted to, change the size of those leaves, the position of them. That can change over time. But all the stuff that you probably have gotten pretty decent at from Final Cut and Photoshop can be applied. Ooh, this is a little bit different look than I was expecting, but pretty fun. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a few other things, but it's really a big experiment for you guys to start off with. And if you're one of the seniors, your job is to make 5 different experiments where you kind of combine at least 3 elements. And it could be text, background, pictures, video clips, etc. In fact, we should get to the text. That's probably the next big thing to talk about, and pretty fun too. Let me show you a couple of ways you can do the text part. I'm going to go ahead and use the type tool that's built in and type some basic text. And oops, text that is. And then a couple things. If we get into the let's see, text styles, let's go through this little list and kind of see. There's the preview. You could probably guess what's going to happen. If you like that style or look, you can attach it to your current text. And almost guarantee you can still change the font, almost anything you want. So let's go ahead and do one more of those little motion effect ideas too. And I think that might be close to enough ammunition to get you started in Apple Motion. But again, it's designed to make short video sequences, great for news openers, commercials. We can, do other types of artificial rain, smoke, fire. There's unlimited things in here. But I think with what we're showing you now, that's probably a good basic start. I'm going to go ahead and make this little basic text here move at a different point in time. So, it was, I'm going to go ahead and turn off my recording light so you can kind of see what's going on here. We have this happening so far. Maybe I want to make that basic text now change size and shape too. So one more kind of idea on the recording part. But you just turn on the recorder and then move down your timeline, wherever you want the next edit point to be, and then you should be able to move it to a different position. You could change its scale or size if you wanted to. Really, all those basic variables can change over time. But that is the basic plan for Apple Motion. And when you're all done with this one, you're going to probably go to Share and most likely export out this movie clip. And it can be then imported back into Final Cut to go into other projects. So that is the quick rundown of Apple Motion. But definitely worth experimenting. I didn't cover everything that you can do in here. But I think if you kind of catch on to knowing that there is a library of all kinds of good stuff, the inspector allows you to change features when it comes to fonts, colors, etc. And then your recording business is all over here. So give it a shot. If you need some help, come and see me and have some fun.